What's up, Moors in America? We're going to be discussing the Black Panther movie, which was excellent. Excellent movie. I recommend everybody goes to see it. It's for everyone in the world. So anyway, we're just going to talk about it, right?
Right.
There's a lot of stuff, man. There's a lot of stuff, and gonna cover a lot of it, and let you come to your own conclusions about what you think. So anyway, when you watch the film Black Panther, and if you want to see the script, the sources and stuff, what I'm saying, just go to the website moorsinamerica.com. I'm really reading the post that I wrote about this. So when you watch the film Black Panther, you'll see a fantastic mythical story of a fictional African superhero in the make-believe land of Wakanda. Or is it a make-believe land? Is this film even about people from the continent of Africa? Is it? After reading this article or watching this video, you will see that this film is actually about the so-called African American, better described as Moorish Americans. Why? Because we need to define ourselves. You need to know more about that. Check out the website in detail. Also, look at some more videos on this channel. We're in the car. So, not only was the Black Panther comic book created in 1966, 1 year after the Black Panther Party was formed in 1965, but the name Wakanda actually has meaning in several Native American cultures, leading to several towns and places in the United States having the name Wakanda, sometimes spelled with an O or an A, and I believe in the movie it's spelled with an A. So we'll get deeper into that. Question: is Wakanda in America, and are Black Panthers only found in America? Hashtag African Americans ain't African. All right. Okay, so I've been seeing information and memes online talking about how the name Wakanda actually has Native American roots. Just by doing a little research, you'll see that there is truth to this claim, right? Not some truth, there's truth to this claim. Okay, we're going to get into that because it goes deep. The claim that Black Panthers only exist in America, the Americas, though, is false. Okay, Panther is just a general term that's applied to big cats. So, like, they call tigers panthers. They'll call leopards and jaguars panthers, even though these animals can't even mate with each other, like, naturally, because they're not really the same species. So panther isn't a name for a species. You're not going to look at your cat, and call it a panther, your house cat. You can if you want to, but that's not what they use it for. They use it for big cats, right? So they will call a mountain lion a panther and a tiger a panther, but they're not the same species. They can't mate together, okay? Just like donkeys and horses, they can't mate together. All right, so panther is just a general term, right? There are leopards in Africa and Asia that have black coats, just as there are jaguars in the Americas with black coats as well. Some people out here are overzealous in their desire to try to point out that the so-called black people are also indigenous to the Americas, and they go too far. Like, they claim, well, Black Panthers are only in the Americas, and no. So just to clarify this, once again, Black Panthers do exist in Africa as well as the Americas, so that claim is bogus. All right, good try, and yes, there's Black Panthers here, but that's bogus. So there's groups like African Americans Ain't African that spend a lot of time attacking everything African, and a lot of times, it's cool. I respect it because they're trying to get the word out, but sometimes they go so far in distancing themselves from everything African that a lot of the efforts, like the videos, the podcasts, and the memes and stuff they're putting out, it's starting to get corny, because if you think for yourself, you don't just look at memes and take that as the truth, or see some YouTube video and take that as the truth, it's corny. You can't even stomach it. And then some people are actually attacking Africa, like they're really going too far. It's like, I can't get with anything like that. So if you're able to sift through the corny BS, you'll see there's some truth to the complaints. Some truth. to the complaints that the Black Panther movie is being used as propaganda to keep us confused and under the spell or the hypnosis of thinking that we are African Americans. I'm saying some truth. I'm not knocking the movie at all. Trust me, everybody needs to see this. I'm not saying this is the case with the film. I'm just pointing out that it's obvious.
Buy tickets and bootleg it. I don't care.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, I'm not advising anybody to break the law or do anything. Like, go see the movie, man. Support it. Like, seriously, do that.
Give Stanley the money.
Yeah, whatever. There's a whole bunch of people that wrote the movie and did a whole bunch of other stuff behind the scenes. And you don't know who the producers are. There's people who are, quote-unquote African Americans who helped produce the film, so you don't know anything. That's another thing people are attacking, and I didn't even want to discuss in this because I'm just trying to focus on the points in my posts. With people running their mouth, he's going to the white folks, and you don't know who it's going to. The only thing you know is it's not going to you, okay? And if you're mad that it's not going to you, go and create something. So anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm not saying that that's the case with the film, that it's propaganda. I'm just pointing out that it's obvious this film is based on the culture, okay, past and present, of so-called African Americans, okay? So I'm not saying this is necessarily propaganda. You could look at it like that because it's easy to, if you think outside the box, you do any independent research on who the true indigenous people are of this land, you can see that this film is about you, past and present culture, like recent, more recent things in history, like the civil rights movement, the Black Panthers, and then on up until, things that we're dealing with today. And then also it has aspects of our indigenous culture in it as well. And some of these things, hey, may be just universal, and all people like us can feel and relate to this, and maybe even crosses cultural, ethnic boundaries. So I'm just pointing out from my perspective. So back to what I was saying, Wakanda. Okay, Wakanda Park mounds in North America. This is what I really wanted to get into, okay? So you got Wakanda Park, right? And actually there's a whole bunch of Wakandas in America. Like you have like cities named Wakanda. And they're in places like South Dakota. There's a city called Omaha in South Dakota, and Wakanda is like an Omaha word and a Dakota word. So you have schools in all types of places named Wakanda. So in the state of Wisconsin, though, all right, there's a Dakota Indian site in Wisconsin, and it's called Wakanda Park, spelled Wakanda Park, right? Now, Wakanda Park isn't just like not a big deal, just somewhere you go play on a playground and stuff. All right, let me tell you a little bit about the history of Wakanda Park. And definitely check out the website so you can see the photos and the sources at the end of the article where I'm getting this from. So I'm not making this up. Okay, something that I do find intriguing with all the information floating around on the internet is the amount of evidence showing that the actual word Wakanda, and we're going to get on Wakanda Park, but the word Wakanda had special meaning within the Native American culture in North America. There are several places named Wakanda, spelled with the A or O, in the U.S., including Wakanda Park, which has prehistoric Indian mounds, okay? The Great Plains Indians, including the Omaha, used the word Wakanda to signify someone or something possessing magical powers in their language. Okay? So the Dakota Indians and the Omaha Indians, in their language, there's even a man who was a Native American who wrote a Dakota dictionary. Okay? So he spelled it out, and there's evidence, so I'm not making this up. Wakanda meant someone or something possessing magical powers in their language. If all I knew, Stan Lee and them knew this. I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't think so, and you probably won't either. Let's put this in a proper perspective for a second, okay? Wakanda was a word used in the Dakota and Omaha language, which signifies someone or something possessing magical powers. Wakanda is also the name of the site of some of the world's oldest pyramids. You see, they refer to them as mounds in conventional archaeology, but they're pyramids built by the ancient Americans. So Wakanda is the name of the site of these ancient pyramids right in the middle of Wisconsin, and that's not it. The Wakanda Park site in Wisconsin is the location, actually, not just the pyramids, but an ancient American city, complete with several pyramids. And it was conveniently flooded.
Keep right onto Cleveland
The Red
Avenue North. Then turn
Cedar
left.
River was flooded to create Lake Minnowim. Okay, so all that is left of the Wakanda, all that is left of this site now is the Wakanda Water Park. It's on the site of the playgrounds, park grounds, and then there's this huge man-made lake. Okay, and so like it's widely speculated. Everybody knows, archaeologists knows there's all types of artifacts and things that were in that valley or whatever before these people flooded it, right? Before it was flooded.
Continue 0.2 miles. Then turn left.
They say
on
that
Scrock
14
Road.
of the 17 mounds have been excavated by archaeologists. Okay? And all across the United
Turn
States,
left on Scrock Road.
there are ancient artifacts and cities that have been flooded by the Army Corps engineers to cover up the pyramids and other temples that lay buried. Man-made lakes and golf courses are used to cover up our ancient artifacts and temples. Like, there's a couple of them right here where we live. We're in Central Ohio. There's a bunch of stuff, okay? And I know there's more to it here because right here in Ohio, there's a place called Miamisburg, and it has this huge pyramid, okay, mound, whatever you want to call it. It's a pyramid, man. And there's the serpent mounds. There's so many mounds here.
2.1 miles.
Right.
Then
So
turn
anyway,
left on
back to
Doubletree
this.
Avenue.
Okay, so remember what we're saying. In the middle of Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, there's an ancient city, okay, with several pyramids, and part of it was flooded, okay, to cover up what was there. So now what's underwater, there's a lake. And like if you can dive, like into the lake, with like cameras and stuff, scuba gear, you would see like grass and trees and stuff like that. Instead of seeing like the bottom of a seabed. You understand? Because that's what they did. They just flooded, a regular area, and this was the area where they knew there was evidence of, ancient civilization. And that's where Wakanda was. All right, a real Wakanda. All right, and it was covered up. So one of our Facebook friends has shared this about the mounds. There might be some language in here. I'm just gonna read what they said. It said, located in Wakanda Park in Menominee on the shores of Lake Minnowim, this group is what's left of once large cluster of mounds that were submerged when Lake Minnowim was created by damming Red Cedar River. A lot of this is what I just told you guys, but out of the 17 submerged mounds, 14 were excavated. Some of the mounds contain burials, including an individual wearing a clay mask. The feature found in only 2 other mound sites in Wisconsin. By different accounts, either 3 or 4 mounds are still intact in the park, so you can actually go see these, all supposed to be ovals. I found 2 definite mounds in decent condition. This person actually went there and took pictures. So we found 2 definite mounds, decent condition, unmowed, and away from pedestrian traffic at the dead end on the ridge overlooking the lake. Nearby, there was a raise in the ground that might have been a 3rd mound, but it's pretty low and mowed with the rest of the disc golf course on which it's located. So I didn't even see that. So this is on a golf course, which is what they usually do. They usually flood things, or they just put a golf course there, and then we make it where even people like Tiger Woods can't get into our exclusive course. Okay, so look, man, this is not a joke. Things are being covered up. This is not like a coincidence. All right. Okay, so here's a meme. Indigenous Americans recognize the universal force from whence they came. The Algonquin tribes called this force or spirit Manitou, while the Iroquois called it Orinda. To the Innu, it was Sila. On the Great Plains, it was Wakanda. The Maya of South America called it Kui. Okay? So, I'm thinking like at this point, it would be foolish to continue to assert that all of these things are merely coincidences. Okay? Like that was in Wisconsin. There's a Wakanda Park in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. you have Wakanda in South Dakota, or it's on a state neighboring South Dakota. I think it's in South Dakota, and it's like north of Omaha. All right, so you have Wakanda family campgrounds. You have a Wakanda, looks like a Wakanda high school, where you have a Indian warrior mascot. So they're the Wakanda warriors, and it's just wild, man. And then, like I was saying earlier, this man actually wrote the Decoded dictionary. Riggs, whoever Riggs is a Native American. All right, and I will pause there and come back, have some more to speak on. There was something I had forgot to mention also about the Black Panther film, and a friend of mine online, shout out to Cheyenne, had put out a post that reminded me of this. Like, when I was watching it, right, it didn't rub me the right way. Seeing, the treatment of one of the characters, Killmonger. He was like the nemesis to Black Panther because he's like half Wakandan, half American, right? And I kind of hit on it a little bit. Like his father was a Wakandan prince. He went there, and when Black Panther's learning like the story of Killmonger, how he came about, he's being told by like his uncle in a negative way about how like the prince had went there and got radicalized by an American woman that he fell in love with. And he's saying that like it's a bad thing. Like he went there and she turned him out, got him on all that black power stuff. And now he's trying to empower black people and fight back, fight the colonizers, And so they're telling it like it's a bad thing. And so Killmonger comes. And of course, like, just from the, without giving away too much, in the context of the movie, the character goes a little too far, but he's like, hey, I've been in America. I've been in all these different forms of the military and secret elite fighting units. I know how they work. I want to take them down. That's what he's about. And then, of course, he's from Oakland, the Black Panthers, right? And it was pissing me off because I knew, like, just a few months ago, and what actually the FBI has been building up for this for years, but last year in 2017, a few months ago, they put out this whole thing about black identity extremists, how they're starting to target these people and see these people as homegrown terrorists, right? In the midst of all the stuff that's going on, they're saying this. And then like recently they arrested some guy who didn't even really commit any crimes. The report on him said that he had like a misdemeanor, not even a felony. He had like a misdemeanor, and I guess he wasn't supposed to be able to have guns. And he had, bought a gun like from a gun show or something. And so maybe he's posting pictures and stuff online, which is crazy, and he's all like about black power and black empowerment and all this type of stuff. He got arrested on those charges of being a black identity extremist. And since, that stuff that he probably, what they charged him with wasn't a big deal, he was just used as a poster child for it, what they're trying to do. They want to target people, and my man Cheyenne had posted something, saying, hey, they showed you the prototype for the black identity extremists in Killmonger, and now all these people on Facebook and Instagram and all these social media outlets letting it be known publicly that you identify with Killmonger. Okay, you're letting their algorithm know, the Facebook algorithm know that you self-identify as a black identity extremist. Okay, and Facebook and Instagram, all these things have profiles, and from a criminal investigation point of view, from a law enforcement point of view, profiling is when you're trying to figure out who's doing what, who's up to what, who's a criminal, who's not a criminal. Everybody's getting profiled. You walk into the room, you immediately profile everyone so that you can know what's going on, especially when you're in the mode of being a detective, being at work, being a cop. When you're on the job, you walk into the situation, you just got a call, you coming in, you profile everyone real quick. Like, okay, that's not a threat. That's not a threat. So when you profile yourself, you make a profile. If you actually put your psychology and all that stuff that you think on there, you're profiling yourself. You know, it's bad enough you got pictures of yourself and your family, you know, so that this algorithm knows what you look like as you age. So they can already predict if you drop off the grid, you know, they can predict what you're going to look like in 4 years. Okay, what you're going to look like with the beard, with short hair, bald hair, you know, trying to change your appearance with blonde hair or something crazy. They don't know what you're going to look like with dreads already, right? Because you've put all these pictures up. So the artificial intelligence has this profile of you and your psychology, because a lot of people get on there and run their mouth and say everything that they're thinking. Okay. And so, yeah, man, he pointed that out. And, you know, I was thinking just about like, wow, this is the whole black identity extremist thing that they're, you know, going after. Of course, I don't identify as black, because I know that that's a slave label that's been placed on us. It's a category. It has nothing to do with you having brown skin or any of that stuff. Legally, you know, if you look at the census records, legally, everyone is considered a part of the original people except for black and African American, Negro. These are labels that were created to place people into a legal slave status. So identifying as black is stupid. Anyway, they call it black identity extremists. You're extremely black, extremely pro-black, and all this stuff. So, and people are hearing this and knowing this, looking at it, seeing that this stuff is true legally, and still not giving a, you know, well, I'm still black. So I don't get that. So if you want to do that, you know, this ain't even really a warning. If you want to do that, go for it. But just letting people know, that's crazy. That's messed up. That was slipped in there. You know, I guess you have to take the good with the bad. It doesn't bother me. I'm not a black identity extremist, but some of y'all are, and you letting it be known publicly. Okay. And you see what the game is and how things are being done. So just wanted to point that out to you. Be careful out here. Peace. Picking up where I left off. Okay. So to go more into the Black Panther, we're told it was created by Marvel's Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And they've made it clear they were influenced by black movements like the Black Panthers. Just to be 100% real, right? If you're just paying attention to Marvel and the stuff that Stan Lee's created, some of his biggest storylines, like the X-Men, borrow heavily from the Civil Rights Movement. The entire struggle, the prejudice the mutants face, the X-Men story parallels what the so-called African Americans experience in the United States and what they've been through, especially in the past. And Stan Lee's admitted this, right? He doesn't back away from it. He even alluded to the parallel, which is obvious, between the dynamics between Professor X, Magneto. They paralleled Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And he said this in several interviews. There was a 2000 interview where he stated that the X-Men were a good metaphor for what was happening with the civil rights movement in the country at that time. Then there's a Huffington Post quote where it's saying the X-Men, a team made up of mutants who endured terrible racism, speciesism, were inspired by the civil rights movement, including the philosophical dichotomy of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, influencing pacifist Professor X and militant Holocaust survivor Magneto, right? That's kind of obvious, but they've said that. So they're paying attention, and it's not like it's just all about what the so-called African Americans going through. You know, they pay attention to all types of events, and a lot of times try to incorporate that into the comic stories. But we're focusing on this. So the X-Men aren't the only ones whose storyline parallel what the so-called African American experienced and is experiencing in the United States. Even though most sources will attribute the origin of the Black Panther Party to Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale in Oakland in 1966, and rightfully so. The party actually emerged from these student-led efforts for political empowerment during the Jim Crow era of Alabama. And in 1965, this is when the Black Panther Party actually started, right? And that's a year before the Black Panther comic debuted. You had the SNCC, which was like the student nonviolent protest committee or something. Their leader, activist Stokely Carmichael, who later became Kwame Ture, helped to adopt the Black Panther as the symbol for courage, black power against white oppression. He was real big on black power, you know. He was so vocal and articulate, you know. He was always, you know, in the media, and they were always getting sound bites from him. And he was always saying stuff like, we're going to take this back. We're taking this land back, because the area where he was at, Lowndes County, Alabama, was like 80% black. And so he was really big on pointing out the hypocrisy of that area having 80% black population and having no mayors, no black mayors, no lawmakers. Everybody in positions of power were white. And so he was real big about that. And his call for black black power captivated Seale and Newton. And they later adopted that image and a lot of his views for the Black Panther Party in Oakland. So Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were paying attention to this stuff back then because it was a big deal. And they actually created Black Panther a few months before the party was founded. But the same social changes and stuff inspired both the political movement and the superpowered African king of the fictional nation of Wakanda. This is a quote from Huffington Post. But they didn't really just get it from the Black Panther Party. They were paying attention to the, you know, the stuff like the march in Birmingham, Alabama, which Stokely Carmichael was a part of. And I'm sure they saw all of this stuff occurring, you know, because they started putting up these banners and stuff with that Black Panther, you know, all over the place. And this stuff was getting captured in the media. So people were seeing this and, hey, they came up with the idea for Black Panther. Okay, so wasn't completely made up. They were looking at what was going on around them. So it's without doubt that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were also inspired by the actions of Carmichael, who had become quite well known for his sound bites in which he boldly proclaimed that he planned on taking over the county that he was in Alabama and calling for black power, right? So what if I told you that Wakanda was a black nation in pre-Columbus America, right? Right. That question above was posted by one of my friends on line, like Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And it was in reference to the various aspects of the Black Panther movie, which not only point not only to the culture and recent history, so-called African Americans, but also you have the plot aspects in there which hint at our own aboriginal American origin. And I feel like I have to put this out there as a disclaimer. Maybe you should have did this at the beginning of the video, but nothing on here is like anti-African, you know? Just making a point. People that look like me have been all over the world for a long time. And that's just the truth, man. The truth is out. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't have to like it. I don't know why you wouldn't, but I don't care. The truth is out. So, you know, you're just going to have to deal with it. Because nobody's going back to sleep. People that aren't awake right now, they're extremely slow. But eventually even they're going to be awake. I mean, even people who's like popping pills and just like silly and stupid and don't care about anything, eventually they're going to wake up too. There's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, if you don't like it, kick rocks. I don't care. So back to what I was saying, right? You have a few different takes on the film and how it relates to us. And I'm going to share all this stuff before going into my own take on the film. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to share a quote from one of my Facebook friends. Shout out to D'Angelo Page. Just wanted to share this. He put up a real cool post, said happy so-called Black History Month, and basically said, okay, so I just wanted to start off first by saying I thought it was thoughtful of Hollywood to release Black Panther on so-called Black History Month. No pun intended. Being that in 1965, the Black Panther, or cat, was used as a symbol for illiterate blacks in the Jim Crow South to know who to vote for. So they put up the Black Panther banners, like I was saying earlier, you know, and they're saying stuff like Black Power and stuff like that on it. And this was to let people know, hey, this is where you go to vote. This is who you vote for. There was so many things going on. You had like white people going around actually killing blacks who were trying to vote, who were giving out pamphlets and stuff like that. So like things were real. It was real heavy. And so basically back to what friend was saying, the Black Panther was used as a symbol for illiterate blacks in the Jim Crow South to know who to vote for, despite efforts of white supremacy to stop poor blacks from voting. Students to the SNCC came up with the idea, led by our own Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture. And of course, the idea was picked up and commercialized into the comic book of today's topic, right? I wanted to bring to the reader attention that all things are written in our DNA. We know things that have been stripped away and hidden from our consciousness. Like a book I read that said, we, unconscious so-called blacks, know all of the past, and that can be predicted of the future. Innately knew to use the indigenous symbolic power of the Black Panther, or the proverbial black cat that has been associated with witchcraft and or bad luck. Shaking my head. Why the black cat gotta be bad luck? So that's out beyond European spookism, right? You're not supposed to go for that. Anything they telling you is bad, you need to be studying that. You need to be using that as a tool for you. The old black magic of the indigenous inhabitant of this planet that has always been a part of our culture. We know black magic ain't bad. You should be beyond that right now, especially if you're watching this video, listening to this. The Olmecs, the original peoples of America, were known as the children of the jaguar, the panther being singled out as the most sacred of that said big cat. I'd like for the reader to note that in the movie The Black Panther, the sacred city Wakanda was the lost city of gold here on this continent and not in today's Africa. So this ain't no knock to Africa. Y'all ought to know that by now. If you that stupid, you shouldn't even be watching this. It was the intent of the creator of the comic book to follow the protocol of disassociating the so-called black people truly indigenous to America with this land and have them to believe that they came from Africa. But it's written in the blood. So when the mentally enslaved blacks used the black cat / panther as their symbol, it was not by happenstance but destiny. A reclamation of power, black power, or Black Panther power, utilized by the ancients. And that's a quote from D'Angelo's page on Facebook. Check his stuff out. He's always sharing real shit. So like, I mean, you follow that, right? Hopefully you listening to this and you're not like smoking crack or something. You know what I'm saying? You ought to be able to follow what's being said. You shouldn't be all angry and crazy. All of this should be making sense to you, you know? And so I'm gonna come to my conclusion and just let you know how I feel about it. Is the Black Panther movie good or bad? Is it propaganda? You know, basically, this is what it's all about. You Moorish Americans, you are the great Masonic secret. You ever heard of Manly P. Hall? He wrote this book called The Secret Destiny of America, and he talks about all these things that all these philosophers have been saying for years about this new world order and how man would eventually perfect himself, and like they would start to understand the ancient technology and how this would all come together. This is what America was about. America's the great land of milk and honey and all this stuff. America's the secret land of milk and honey, while people are looking for Atlantis and all these things. This is it. This is it right here. And even when he's supposed to be giving you the secrets and telling you what's up. He's still speaking in code and stuff because he's still like, if you don't know who you are, you don't know that you're the secret, you could be reading this and not even know that he's talking about you, right? They got the dollar on the pyramid with the 13-step pyramid with the Eye of Horus at the top. They're not telling you that they found, a miniature pyramid that glows in the dark under a black light with the Eye of Horus and the 13 steps and all that stuff right here in Ecuador, which is in South America, right? They're not telling you stuff like that. They're not telling you that there's thousands and thousands of mounds, pyramids, all over the United States. They're not telling any of this to you. So they're not telling you that they're finding your symbols and stuff right here. They're using these symbols to this day. Why? Where are they getting it from? How do they know about this? So they're paying homage and reverence to you. They're using your stuff for power, and you don't even know. So we already have everything that we need right here. All you have to do is wake up and activate yourself, and all this stuff around you just lights up, and you can use it to empower yourself, to bring prosperity, wealth, and all that stuff to you right now. All right? They built this off for us, even if they don't realize it. Even if they're out marching with tiki torches and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? They think they on some destroy us, try to take us down shit. But they really, everything they built has been for us. Their whole entire existence has been for us. We separated a part of ourselves, took it out and actually created people from that. You know what I'm saying? So they're incomplete. But we did that to bring about a perfection in ourselves. This has all been an experiment. Our ancestors were scientists. Okay? Scientists. And that's what they're showing you in the movie. All right? So even if we're not even thinking on that level right now, some of us are, some of us aren't. We're scientists. We created all this. It was all the perfection. And it's all coming to a head now. It's all coming to fruition now. All right, things are like, it's like a freight train. It's just like a rhino, since they use rhinos in the Black Panther movie. It's like a rhino. You can't stop it. We got the momentum going. We waking up. We woke. Everybody's awoke now. Everybody's awake. It don't matter like race, none of that stuff. Everybody's awake. If they're not, even people that's like just about popping pills and acting stupid right now, even these people are waking up and they starting to realize things that they would not have been thinking on in the past, especially not nobody that's acting stupid. Okay, things have just changed. There's no turning back. I mean, like, the information is out there. It's out there. You can't put it away now because it's too much. Too much has been released. People know too much. People know what it's like to get information easily now. You can't take that away, right? So, excuse me. The fear mongering, the stuff you see where they talking about they gonna put you in the concentration camps and all that stuff. None of that stuff's gonna work. None of it's gonna work. It can't. It's too late. If they had the power to do it, they should have did it. Because it can't be done now. You know too much. Too much is out there. All right? People's aware of this stuff. It's harder to hide things. It's been exposed, man. It's been exposed. And now a lot of us are starting to realize we have power. And some of us are actually starting to use it consciously. Because you use it against yourself if you're not aware of how powerful you are and how powerful your mind is and that you can create your reality. You know, but a lot of us, people who've been Christian all their life and was scared of voodoo and all these things, they're looking into it because it's something inside them in their DNA that's like, hey, go check that out. Check that out. Look into that, you know. Tap into your ancestors. You know, doing things they wouldn't even have thought of. They wouldn't, like, there's no logical reason for them to be going in that direction. You know? People are doing it. They're not scared. And I'm here, I'm like, if you think what I just said is evil, I'm sitting up here like the devil. I'm happy with it. I'm good. I'm like, yeah, because I've been feeling evil for a long time. I've been cool with it. I haven't been scared for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't raised to be like this, but I've been ready. I've been ready. And so I'm watching everybody else get it and start to wake up, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, come on. I'm ready. So this is how I feel about the movie Black Panther. Like, I look at the world and I see us rising up. I see us doing great things. And even with all the negativity and all the BS, everybody's got BS and negativity. So I see all the great things that we're doing. I see the influence that we have worldwide, our people, period, but especially here in North America. You know what I'm saying? In the United States. There's something special about us. We're the head of the snake, okay? We're the reptilians. Whatever you want to say, we're the head of it. You know what I'm saying? We're the sons of the serpent. So we are the leaders of the New World Order. And it's like we shine no matter what. And everybody sees it. And I see it too. And so when I look at the world, like for years, I've been seeing it like the movie Black Panther. I've been seeing it like, yeah, we rising up. We on point. We running things. And like, I don't think the rest of the world saw it like that. So this movie that's making all this money, is going all over the world that the people are seeing, and it's having such a big effect on them. People aren't just looking at it like, oh, it's just a movie. A lot of people are, but then maybe even more people are looking at it like, wow, this is incredible. I've never seen a movie with this many black actors looking regal and royal and noble and doing great things, and all of it happening in one movie, That's what most people are feeling when they see it, of all races, right? And it's making a lot of people happy. It's making a lot of people feel good, okay? And that's common sense, what I'm saying, man. You don't have to be woke to know that, right? That's just common sense. The average person, they see it and they're like, man, this is cool. Seeing us in this light, this feels good. This makes them feel good. It makes something inside them activate. And this is going on all over the world. I actually had the pleasure of being in another country, living in another country when Barack Obama came into office. And I saw the effect that it had not only in my home country in the United States, but also in various different countries. And I also saw the effect that it had on people that look like me, people that look like my family, It activated something inside people. Seeing this person who's basically, we know what those in the know that the president doesn't actually run everything. He has to kiss the Pope ring and stuff like that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But none of that matters. He's the figurehead. He's the king, man. So we got to see a black family go in to the White House. All right. Same thing. This is Egypt. Okay. Red, white, and blue. Okay. We got the different colors that correspond to the colors of the Nile River in Egypt. America is Egypt. Okay, even the White House. All this stuff was symbolic, and it all corresponds to same thing you would call where the Pharaoh stays in Egypt. So here's the Pharaoh, Barack Obama, Akhenaten, whatever you want to call him. We got to see that, and I got to see the effect that this had on people. It activated something within them. Okay, the movie, same thing, just on a mundane level, seeing these people regal, royal, noble, getting it, you know what I'm saying? Being heroes, you know what scientists. I mean, it was cool and powerful, and it's still having a big effect. People's loving it. And so, like, once again, it's activating something within people. And you can't go backwards after that. The reason is because these same people who created these advanced societies in the past, who had pyramids, was able to travel to different galaxies and do all types of incredible things that we have no proof of. These people went into cocoon stasis. They went into sleep. You know, they were like frozen in time almost. But not frozen. They kind of regressed, kind of like went backwards. DNA went offline. It didn't disappear. It's still there. You got 12 strands. We actually have more than 12 strands of DNA. But it went offline. So instead of it being lit up like the New York skyline, right? Our thing shut off. So it's like when you cut the power out, you know what I'm saying? And there's no lights. So now it looks like we only have 2 strands of DNA. Okay? But when stuff like this happens and all these people are affected by it emotionally, it starts to make all those strands start to light up. You know, it might not happen all at once for everybody, but they start coming back online, you know? So I'm telling you, man, don't ride against it. Don't hate on it. It's a good thing. People's coming online. They're starting to wake up. And even if they don't know it, their DNA is activated when they see that. So people are coming online, man. And that's what's happening. So you can't go against that. And like I said, that's how come it's non-stop. You can't stop it. It's like a rhino. Once you start activating that DNA, people's getting up out of that cocoon. You know, the butterfly, the moth is about to emerge. It's on. Okay? Like if you're trying to ride against that energy, the only thing you could do is try to find your way up in the future to deal with those people, trying to hope that you can get on their back or something and ride along. Because once we fully activated, it ain't nothing that can come against us. It's like, nigga, I don't like you. You gone. You don't even exist no more. It's like, you know what? I ain't even thinking about them fools. They gone. They don't exist. Anything that's trying to come against you, all right, is happening now. Believe it or not. I'm witnessing it. I'm seeing it. It's on. Okay? I was just hearing some song playing. Oh, man, this girl's name's like Princess Nokia or something. And she had this song called Bruja. And she's like, I'm Afro-Puerto Rican. She's Afro-Puerto Rican. And she in the hook, she's saying like she's Afro. She says she's a black native. She knows she's black indigenous. And then the whole thing is Bruja. She's working with the Orishas. You know, she got Oshun and Yemaya in there. She's doing voodoo. She knows she's a black indigenous. And hey, look, people could be doing mumble rap. They could be doing the trap stuff. It don't even matter. You could just be in there just talking about doing drugs and a whole bunch of other stuff. People is like waking up. People been woke. People are coming online. Hey, these things you might be like, oh, that's just a song. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out here. Every day somebody else is coming online. You know? And it's happening. And it's real. And I ain't saying it's happening just because of Black Panther. I'm saying Black Panther helped wake up all the people like your grandma and them and all these other people who ain't even thinking about this. You know? It's helping to reach the masses and to get us all up to the level where we need to be at. You know? Because if it's like, say I've been on this, I've been on my mental stuff for like a decade or longer, right? I've been helping to wake people up. Now more people's waking up. Now we all helping. Then you got people who's on it and they starting to create movies and do stuff. And so we starting to get it out there to a larger crowd. And it's going to it's unstoppable. We waking up. That's basically how I see it. We the big secret. And the secret is like to the point where it ain't even a secret no more. You know, people used to, when they first started like letting little information come out about stuff like the Illuminati and stuff, people were scared of that. People were going for the fear mongering and stuff. Now, don't nobody care. Y'all got these Illuminati websites. We getting a lot of traffic. People are emailing me every day talking about, yo, I want to be an Illuminati. How can I get in there? You know what I'm saying? People's not scared of that stuff. They're not scared. People aren't scared of anything anymore. Times are changing, man. They're changing. And it's changing for the better, man. Because you know how I feel? F fear. All right? You know, forget that. So the movie, Black Panther, to me, it mirrors the condition of Moorish Americans. Or in other words, those who've been misnomered African American. And it mirrors our conditions in many ways, including the physical and mental state of our communities, our vast potential, on a metaphysical level, symbolic level, and with the many hidden aspects that's in plain sight that either point to our indigenous status or the recent aspects of our history, like stuff like the civil rights movement and the Black Panthers and stuff like that. And then, like, I mean, there's too many coincidences. Ain't none of this stuff coincidence. It's all based off of us. The film was released on February 16th. That's one day after Huey P. Newton's birthday, who was the founder of the Black Panther Party. Okay? So if you think this a coincidence, you stupid. You know? And, I mean, for one, it's in Black History Month. Two, it's on Huey P. Newton's birthday, right? And then you got aspects of the plot, like the one guy, Killmonger, he's from Oakland. You know, the prince who was his father. I'm not going to give away too many plot points, just in case you haven't seen it. But yeah, one of the main characters is from Oakland, and Oakland it features prominently in the film. It's an important part of the film, and from what I understand, it wasn't a part of the comic book. So they did that for the film, because everyone's going to see the film, not the comic book. So the film is what's important. So that was paying homage to the Black Panther Party, right? That's us. I'm just making this point to let you know that's us, in case you didn't know, or in case you like in denial. So none of that stuff was lost on me. And neither was the fact that Stan Lee admits to using those dynamics between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King as the basis for Professor X and Magneto and the X-Men. You know, none of that's lost on me. He's not the only person paying attention to what's going on in our community, though, okay? I think we're a big deal in the grand scheme of things, not just in the United States. I might be biased in seeing things this way, because I come from the so-called African-American community, but even when I step outside of my own perspective and look at things objectively, it still seems like this particular ethnic group is a big deal. And not just in the United States either, but also on the international front. I mean, like, you know, like you have people who have a voice like Jay-Z and, of course, his counterpart, Beyonce. They say things and they can move millions of people all over the world, okay? People are looking at them and listening to them, and it's like there's no, like, other counterpart, really, who has the influence that we have on that level. You know, we can move crowds. Big time. And I see things like you have thousands of racists and bigots that go to Twitter to release false stories of white people getting attacked at the Black Panther screenings. You have trolls organizing to sabotage the film ratings on sites like Rotten Tomatoes, right? So this is proof there's a large percentage of people claiming to hate us that are in fact obsessed with us. Like, if you hate somebody, why are you always up in their business? Why are you always trying to stop them? Trying to stop them, you know? Ain't like it's the other way around. It's like, if you don't like somebody so much, why are you always paying attention to them? Right? So whether we see how incredible we are or not, others do. You know? Why were black communities attacked by lynch mobs, where you had the entire town show up and kill innocent people, burn down their businesses and homes? You know, these things were happening during the era when segregation was the law in most of the country. Same whites that claimed they wanted to keep things separate but equal viewed us as a threat, and even when we were not paying attention to them that much, they had their eyes on us constantly. Constantly, man. Constantly. Okay? So like, yeah, if you kindly paying attention to me, you know, and you claim you don't want to be around me, you know, what's really going on? So they're obsessed. So the way I see it, you know, we were a big deal then, and we're still a big deal now. For some strange reason, our ethnic group has more social influence than anyone else on the face of the planet. People all over the world think we're cool for various reasons, and they copy our style and they listen to us, right? Like, I'm not even just talking about rap and, you know, people trying to be cool and famous and influence people. Nah, I'm talking about like intellectual people, you know, even, you know, people like Farrakhan, people like Malcolm X, you know, when we speak, if you have it together, I mean, and especially with us being here in America, in the heart of Babylon, you know, right in the heart of Babylon. So like when we speak, it's like, hey, we're sitting here right up under the devil. We know everything, you know. When we speaking the truth. Okay, we can tear all of this down just with speaking the truth. And so that's how come like everyone listen to Farrakhan and they're paying attention. And we saying stuff that no one else in the world is saying. So we have a ton of influence. Our destiny is to eventually step up and take our rightful place as the leaders of the planet. Most people do not see things in this light. It's what I was saying before. Therefore, the masses need to see imagery like this film that was very well made to prepare their mind for what is taking place right now. They need to begin to see and accept the rise and ascension to power of our people. This is one of the reasons why this film was so necessary. So this is like, yeah, it's make-believe, it's a story. Now, yeah, kinda, it's real, dude. It's real. It's happening. And people need to see it in this science fiction type, you know, way. They need to see it in the guise of a movie to start to prepare them. Just like they needed to see Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and the kids and all this stuff. They needed to see that. That's how things happen in this reality. Something that I took from the film, which I think has real world implications, was the importance of unification within this so-called African American community. You have all these different ideologies and groups, some of which believe they have the answer to, you know, getting out of this situation, current status as second, third class citizens. Even within the realm of the Moorish American doctrine, there are several approaches and organized groups, some that are in opposition to each other, not getting along. You have all these different, you know, you got Nuwapians, you got the Hebrew Israelites, you got, you know, the Moors, you got Nation of Islam, you got Nation Gods and Earth, you got all these different things, different groups, you got Christians, you got Orthodox Muslims, you got Sunni, Shia, you got all these things, right? All these different ways of approaching things. And then even within like the Moors, you know, you got Washita, you got the United Republic of, you know, you got all this different stuff. You got this guy who says he's an emperor, and he's like, you know, you got all these different groups and different ways of going about doing these things, right? And it's like, look, man, like, okay, that's cool. You could have your flag. You could do your thing. Everybody could do their thing. But it's like, yo, what's up with this nationality? Let's just do it. We already got the answer. It's just like we're awake, we're online, we're connected. We don't have to beg anyone for anything. All we got to do is stand up, step into our place where we're supposed to be at. Basically, we already have everything that we need. You know? We won't have to agree, we won't have to like each other. But all we have to do is just stand up, because we already had the nation. We already have it. So in that movie, I saw that, like, from one perspective, which I hope people that are caught up in all their different ideologies and people that's caught up in all their differences, I hope they take that from the film. Because in the Black Panther, you have the 5 tribes or the clans, that made up Wakanda in the film, they had to come together to actually form the nation and be successful. So they didn't all agree. They understood they needed to join as a nation for the greater good. So I guess that's where I should make a push for everyone to see the importance of having a common nationality and uniting, regardless of ideological differences under that Moorish American banner. I know I've heard people argue this down, like people that, may be smart. I don't know if they're really smart or not, but because to me, this is like, just seems like common sense. Maybe it's too common for people that think they're so intellectual or something, but yeah, people that seem smart, they're arguing against it. You got people who, saying they're Native Americans. I'm this tribe, I'm that tribe, I'm Algonquin, my people never Moors. When they just want to argue it, just argue and argue against it. And it's like, okay, smart, I guess. Whatever. Let's see how that works out for you. That's one of the things, like, you have to be wise and know when to just let people do them. Because eventually, if they survive, they'll come around. But that's really just what I wanted to hit on. I mean, the movie was awesome. It was awesome. And it's out there doing good. I guess it's breaking records. And I see why. And then on another level, I mean, you see the people are excited, happy about it. And that's it. Okay, one thing they're leaving out is that it's activating people. They're not going to tell you that. But you can see some of the stuff I was talking about. People just happy because they're not used to seeing this imagery. It's a big deal. But what you don't see and what they don't know is it on the inside of them, it's activating their DNA. Maybe instead of 2 strands, now they got 8. It's lit up. And some other event's going to happen in their life to make those other 4 strands or more come online. And this is happening all over the world, People in Korea seeing it, and they're lighting up, People all over the continent of Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, all these places, people are seeing it, and they're lighting up. We had this page called the 144,000. Like us, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube, the144,000.com. Go there. Shared a video on there where there was this white woman interviewing somebody, and the woman she goes to like South Africa to interview people. She like one of these right-wing people who's like so racist as hell on the low, always trying to paint black people as criminals and ignorant. She's over there interviewing some woman who's like white trash, like straight up. They show her living in some like nasty looking place, poor looking place, and the woman look all broke down, and she's South African, and she's interviewing her, and the woman's all complaining, talking about the Boers who were like the Dutch that came there and killed a bunch of indigenous South Africans and took their land. And so they all own farmland, and most of them are wealthy. She's talking about how they're like giving them a hard time, the poor whites, the other whites that aren't like them. They're giving her and the people like her a hard time, and I guess they're trying to kick them out. And then she's like, and the blacks are doing it too. And the black kids are like beating up her kids and telling her that South Africa is not for them anymore. They need to get out. And it's like, she's saying this and she wants sympathy. And it's like, go on somewhere. You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. If anyone knows anything, I mean, colonialism, period. They all need to get up on and, go back to the caves. But I mean, just like on the real, like just South Africa, you look at the history of that place and what they've done there. There's not a single person of European descent that should be allowed to live there at all. Period. Point blank. And that's just what it is, because they've done horrible things. And so, like, there's no sympathy for you, And so I was just saying that to say that people are waking up. People are getting bolder. They're ready. And you see the framework that the people that are like sharing stuff like that, trying to get other white people riled up. The framework they're painting it in is that it's white genocide. They're trying to play the victim and say that people, want to kill them and don't want them here and everything's against them. And it's like, hey, I'm not saying anything either way. I'm just being real. Like, hey, they're endangered species, man. They got to be like that. That's how come the police will be out killing killing people that look like you and not really messing with them. Even when they go shoot up a school, they just get arrested. Okay? They get arrested and they treat them good. All right? Even when somebody goes in the movie theater, goes up into a hotel room and shoots a whole bunch of people, like a coward, like they get arrested. They don't come and kill them. They don't do that. They arrest these people. And so they're endangered species and starting to feel the heat. And like I said, people starting to get more bold, man. They're tired of this, So it's time, man. It's a lot of stuff going on, probably right up under your nose. And so that's all this was about, was just to point some of those things out to you and to bring it all back home. I mean, it ain't like we out here killing. Like, if they were smart, they wouldn't even feel like that. Because first off, they would know that, like, some retribution has to be done. Like, you can't just take people's stuff and then expect to, kill and murder and all that and expect to be good. Okay? But at the same time, guess what? If we not lynching y'all, you should be happy. And we're not. We're not doing stuff like that. And we don't have to, We can go outside and be out in the sun for hours and be good. Other people are going to have to start going underground or something, And even then, probably something else would be trying to kill them. So, hey, we living in a different time, man. It's cool. I'm good with it, We good. We could survive anything. So, it's time to thrive, man. We coming online. That's all I was just saying is the movie is showing we coming online. We here. All right. And then it's us. Rewind this, share with your friends. I mean, you saw the stuff about Wakanda, man. In Wisconsin, you have the site where there was an ancient indigenous American city. They got like 17 pyramids, and they're saying like at least 14, maybe even more, are submerged. They flooded the whole city because they didn't want people to see what's there. Okay? For all we know, there were giant stone heads or something like what you see in Mexico, the Olmecs, or, the Sphinx or something like that. You never know. They flooded it and created a lake to hide it. All right? And this was Wakanda. All right? So I'm telling you, man, it's real. It's real. It's on. And the movie's good. Check it out. Peace.